So, really quick, tonight's menu consists of our fried pork chops. And for those of you that follow me, I recently did a couple of months back when my husband had his surgery, recipe for mac and cheese without flour. Used it for cauliflower because he couldn't have gluten at the time. So I'm going to use that same cheese recipe, and I'm going to make a cheesy baked potato mix. You'll see. It's kind of like baked potato, but they're chunks, and it's got the bacon and the green onions, but you'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything prepped and ready for you, and see you soon. Hey guys, so I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. So we have our pork chops. I have a large family, you guys know that. White potatoes. You can use red, you can use russet potatoes, whatever potatoes you like. My garlic, you guys already know. But you can either use freshly chopped, or you can do this. I also have some fried garlic. You guys, I just can't even begin to explain that to you. But trust me. I have my cabbage, some adobo seasoning. I have some rosemary garlic season, some Himalayan sea salt. You can use any kind of sea salt or just regular salt. I have a long sweet pepper. Excuse me. I'll show you guys that brand a little bit later. Some scallions or green onions. I have a small piece of a carrot. That's going to be for the cabbage. I have my Greek seasoning, my slap your mama, my buttermilk, my whipping cream, my parmesan, my canola veggie blend. I have some mozzarella and some Monterey Jack. I also have some parsley, say hi guys, and some bacon. And for those of you who don't eat pork, the pork chops can also be substituted for turkey chops and or chicken thighs, whichever you prefer. For the potatoes, if you don't want to use the actual bacon, you can use some black salt that will give the taste of that, or you can use turkey bacon. I'm sure it'll still work out just fine. You could just omit it altogether. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick run through. This is for the potatoes, the cabbage, and the pork chops. So I'm going to start prepping everything, and I'll see you guys in a few. Okay guys, so before you say anything, I know it's a small pot, but it's going to cook down, trust me. So in here I have the whole head of cabbage you guys saw. The carrot, I cut it on the bias in half, and then on the bias I scrubbed it down really good. The pepper, I just cut it from the bottom, the tip, and again into rings. And I didn't use the whole pepper because I didn't have a huge head of cabbage. My seasonings were the seasonings that you saw, but to refresh, have my minced garlic, my sea salt. And again guys, you know I don't usually use a lot of salt in my cooking because a lot of the seasonings that I have salt in it, but sea salt is good for you. And this is cabbage, so I did want to add a little bit of salt. I added the fried garlic, the adobo, any brand that you choose is fine, the all-purpose Greek seasoning, the slap your mama, not around here, we don't do that, but and the rosemary garlic seasoning. I'm going to, you can either, at this point, if you want to keep it vegetarian, you can use veggie stock or water, or you can use chicken stock, turkey stock. I'm going to use water today. Usually I have turkey stock on hand, but I didn't have any before I started this, so my apologies, but whichever you choose is fine. The measurements, I typically don't measure. I just season till my ancestors say stop, as they say. But with the salt, however, I do a teaspoon of that, or like 2 or 3 good shakes if you happen to find that exact container. So I'm going to go ahead and put my liquids in here, and I'm going to put it up to maybe here. I'm not, and trust me, this is going to cook down. So it does seem like it's a lot in here, but it's going to cook down. So I'm going to go ahead and add my water. I'm going to put it on the stove and let it cook for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Closer to the time for it to be done, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this in there. The hot pepper juice. You can take the peppers out too if you like, but I'm just going to use the juice. Then we're going to go from there. Okay, so really quick, in this pan, cooking up the bacon, and see what I tell y'all, it's only been cooking for 15 minutes and it's already cooking down. So I stirred it up just a little bit. I'm going to put the top back on it and I'm going to let it cook for another 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how tender you like. I don't want it mushy like baby food, but I don't want it to be raw, you know. So just getting my bacon going. Again, you can omit this step. Just so you know, when you finish cooking the bacon, don't throw the oil out. That bacon grease, we're going to use it. And y'all, I got so excited about making this, I forgot about the cream cheese and the goat cheese. So I have, and this also depends on how much you're making. I have a 4-ounce log of goat cheese and about 2 ounces of cream cheese. Again, it depends on how much you're making. I'll let you know about that later. Okay guys, so I took the bacon out and I only left about a tablespoon of the oil. I kind of jump started this for you guys because, you know, it's a little tedious, but I put about a tablespoon of fresh garlic in here. I went ahead and added the heavy cream, buttermilk, and I added all of my seasonings except for the salt. And the reason why I'm not going to add salt is because I'm going to add the cheeses to it, and I don't want it to be too salty. So I'm going to add all the cheeses first, and then I'm going to taste it to see if it needs any salt. But I'm going to give it a quick stir, and I'm going to let it cook for a few minutes on a medium-low heat, just until it starts to give me a few little bubbles. Once I get to that point, I'm going to go ahead and add the goat cheese and the cream cheese. And I'm going to let that melt. And then once that melts, I'm going to add in the rest of my cheeses. Again, guys, don't really measure too much. I guess it depends on the amount of people that you're feeding or the amount of sausage you're going to make. Sometimes I make extra sauce because it can be used the next day for as a dip. Or my daughter, who's 16, she likes to get hot Cheetos and warm it up and use it for that. And you can use it to make nachos the next day. Just warm it up in a warm skillet. But I'm just going to stir this up a little bit, and then I'm going to come back once I add the goat cheese and cream cheese so you can see what it looks like. So here we are, the goat cheese and the cream cheese. And guys, usually I use a herbed goat cheese, but all I had was plain today. And I keep goat cheese and cheese period in my refrigerator because usually when I make these dishes, it's like a fly-by, spur-of-the-moment type thing. So I make sure I always have some on hand, and I let them both sit out to room temperature so they're soft. So I'm just smashing them a little bit to kind of get it incorporated. You're gonna do this, I mean, you know, you got to kind of stand over this a little bit because you don't want it to burn, and you want to make sure that that goat cheese and cream cheese does melt. So I'm going to stir this around for a little bit and let this melt down, and then once that's done, we're going to come back and we're going to start adding the rest of the cheeses. And you can use a spoon, like I'm using a spatula, a whisk, whatever you choose to help get this incorporated. I usually don't use a whisk only because the cheese kind of gets stuck in the metal spokes, but this working okay. Like I said, or normally I would have my spatula. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll show you when I come back. I'll actually use it so you guys can kind of get a good idea of what a spatula is. Okay, see you guys in a few. Guys, we're back, and this is my spatula. It's a little beat up, so don't talk about me. So I've added in my cheeses. You can either do pre-shredded or you can grate it yourself. I happen to have pre-shredded at home, and I have block cheese as well, but today I'm going to stick with just the white cheeses. Again, you can use whatever cheeses you like. And I have the Monterey Jack, mozzarella, and Parmesan. Again, it's your cheese of your choice. And again, if you want to get a little color, a little yellow to it, you can always use cheddar or Colby Jack, Gouda, you know, good melting cheese. And as you can see, it's pretty thick at this point. I use about 8 ounces of cheese, give or take a few ounces. You can use more or less depending on, again, how cheesy you want it. So we're going to let this melt down. And like I said, it's pretty thick. As you can see, what I'm going to do after I let this cook down a little bit, I'm going to then add in some milk to thin it out just a little bit. Like I said, because we're adding it to potatoes and not pasta, so I don't want it like super thick, but I don't want it too thin either. So we're going to add maybe 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of milk once this is all incorporated. Look at that. Let me tell you something. Whew. And once I add the milk, we're going to adjust the seasonings, but I doubt we're going to need any salt. And guys, just so you know, because I said I don't use salt, don't forget the other seasonings that I added have salt in them. And like I said, the cheese is pretty salty, so trust me, it is seasoned pretty well. And you know what else I forgot? My daughter always gets me. It's a little bit of black pepper. So I'm going to cut away and I'm going to do that, and then I'll bring you guys back once it's at the consistency that I'm looking for. So, pork chops, all seasoned up nice and good. I seasoned the pork chops and the flour with the seasonings that I showed you. Gotta season both. I seasoned the pork chops up and let them sit in the seasoning for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then I put them in the seasoned flour into my cast iron skillet with my oil. Gonna let them cook about 15-20 minutes. And we're gonna put them off and hold them over in the warm oven until we get the rest of them done. I got my water boiling in my pots for my taters. And ooh, look at that. It started to come up to a burn. And look at that cabbage, y'all. Ooh, ooh, that's hot. Yes, Lord. We'll be back. Okay, y'all. So I forgot to show you how I cut up the potatoes. They all done now, so I'm finna drain them. And I'm gonna start adding in the ingredients, and I'll be right back. Y'all, baby, let me tell you something right here. You can't tell me nothing. Nothing. There's our finished cabbage. Got a little cornbread on there. And them fried pork chops. Ooh, ooh. Let me move this one out the way, so y'all get a good look at that. Bam. Yeah. Look at that crust on there. Gorgeous. Look at the cheesy potatoes. Y'all, it's the wrap. I see everybody taking a nap after that. But there you have it, my fried pork chops with my cheesy potatoes, my cabbage, and my cornbread. Y'all, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for those who subscribe, and for all my new subscribers, peace and blessings.